And
How are you today, Reb Moshe Yosef?
Baruch Hashem, Bimen Zeisel, Bekenzer. Our plague of shootings is moving to Canada.
your what?
The plague of shootings in the United States. There's another shooting in Canada. There's having 3 this year. They never even had 1.
It's just
Shootings are crazy. A city like Portland, Oregon, they're scared. Yeah, but you Republicans think everybody should walk around with a gun. People come to shul and guns. The Democrats are really wonderful. Well, at least we don't kill people. It's the Republicans who kill people. They're the ones that want untrammeled ability to carry guns around. Up until very recently,
Not the gun.
the Supreme Court held that the Second Amendment regulated militias, not personal.
you know, there's a phrase in Gemara,
Yeah.
Havahatalia.
You're right. You're right. 100%.
Okay.
That says it all. It's not one side of the picture. The other side is both.
Havahatalia. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to start our learning sponsors as we get settled. Year of Learning, Friends of Nina Monester,
Okay.
Nechama Asna Bat Yitzchak Aharon, many friends of Stephen Vigdal, Ezeichen Nishmat Simcha Melech Ben Meir Leib Halevi, friends of Marcy Kurtz in memory of her great niece, Leah Bracha Bas Rivka, Isaac and Evelyn Blacher in memory of his sister, Haya Rachel Bas Isser. A Month of Learning by Gary and Marcia Schrager in memory of his father, David Ben Yosef, and his mother, Freda Bas Hendel, Marcia Federbush in memory of her husband, Oil Pinchas Ben Arav Shimon, Andrea and David Dolmy in memory of her father, Tzvi Herschel Hillel Ben Abraham, Dov Budlander in memory of his father, Tzvi Ben Yaakov Yitzchak, his mother, Bela Devasha Bas Harav Dov Berish, his father-in-law, Yehuda Tzvi Ben David Nachum, and his mother-in-law, Alta Chaya Bas Avram Yosef, Mel and Haran Haller in memory of his father, Avram Ben Ze'ev, a week of learning by Judy Iger in memory of her son, Yerachmiel Ben Aharon. Today is the 13th. We have a day of learning by Ralph and Honey Chaffetz in memory of his brother, Nassan Ben Yehuda. Okay. We also continue to keep in mind Peret Semach Ben Yaakov Yitzchak and the Bachur Moshe Rubin Ben Sima Tabela.
And what happened with the surgery?
Somebody said they think the surgery is scheduled actually tomorrow. So I don't know. This is the gentleman that Rabbi has again mentioned the name and terms of the Hebrew name when we did Tehillim this morning. Okay, that's the case. All right. Okay.
Is he a member of the community?
He's a member of the show. Yeah.
He's a member of the
I don't know. All I know is that they also asked the ladies that run the Tehillim group to start saying Tehillim.
So he's probably pretty sick.
Well, you never know. You don't know what kind of surgery. You know, if it's heart surgery, then certainly, okay,
Today,
you know.
my mother was died from a bypass. Today, you're out of the hospital in 2 days.
Mhm.
So heart surgery ain't what it used to be.
It's very different. A lot of surgeries.
Marty, my wife wouldn't let me bring the big canister. She
Okay.
And you always listen to your wife.
Absolutely.
Is that when he does?
No, I always listen to my wife. You'll be held to pay if I didn't.
Okay. Samachet Amud Beis, gentlemen, is where we're going to get started. Okay.
That's where we stop.
That's where we stop.
Right, that's where we'll start about 3/4 of the way down the Amud. Right, so in art, if you're using art scroll, it's probably B3.
Yes,
Am I guessing correctly?
yes, 68 feet.
Right, okay,
I'm a Rav Huna Rabbi.
okay, well, Amar Rav Huna, Amar Rebbe. That's a good place to start, Zev. Thank you. Okay, Parnasa Eina Ketnai Ketuba. Okay, that the and we're using the phrase Parnasa as parallel to dowry. Okay, for our purposes. Okay, to differentiate it from Mizonos. Okay, and there's not another Gemara around. Okay.
There's another set over here.
Yeah, but then we got to go. I'll go through and find the right one. Marty is going to get it set up, and then we'll have access to that. Okay. So what is he saying? That the money that is part of the dowry is not a stipulation of the ksuba. Okay. Now, why is that important for us? Just for a moment. Okay, that Rav Huna is saying this in the name of Rebbe. We've been seeing that all along there's an adjustment in the ksuba for the dowry. Okay, right, in some manner, some way. Okay.
Over here, I think the issue is going to be if it's a stipulation in the ksuba, then it's from karka. If it's not, it can be from a taltalin, because that's what the discussion is.
Well, that's going to be headed in that direction. Okay, but right now, I'm just building on what we learned before. Okay, that we said, okay, I don't think there is one of those, unfortunately, for ksubas. We could take it.
If there's a real, well, except I need this morning later.
Okay, yeah, there is a Koran if somebody is comfortable using it. Next shelf down, Bob. So it would be Koran number Ktubos volume 2. Should be right near where your hand is.
That's a mountain.
Okay. Okay, so if that's so, we're going to see that this statement that it's not a stipulation of the ksuba is going to be important as we continue. Mayenek Tanai Ketuba. What do we mean when we say it's not a stipulation of the ksuba? Inema de ilu parnasa tarfa mimashabde. If you're going to say, okay, or if we're going to say that the dowry is taking something from the meshubadim, which might be karka in this case, all right? Okay, utnai ketuba lo tarfa mimashabde. And we're saying that the stipulation of the ketubah cannot be taken from that. My kamashmalan. What is he teaching us then? Ha ma'asim b'chol yom motzein leparnasa. What the Gemara is saying, the money from liened property, okay, for the dowry, okay, is not okay, not something that's unique. Ve'ein motzein lemazonot, but we don't use that, okay, for the purpose of the mezonot, of this regular sustenance for the woman. Ve'ela rather, de'ilu parnasa gabia nami mimataltale. But it tells us then that the dowry can also be, I'm going to use the word collected here for the moment, from a non-karka, okay, from other kinds of property. Utanai ketuba mikarka egavia, okay, and the stipulation for the ketuba, okay, is taken from karka, from solid property, gavia. Memetaltale lo gavia, but from non-solid property, from metaltalin, okay, transportable property, or other translations, lo gavia, we do not take it from that. Now, l'Rav Idi v'Idi, l'Rav, but for Rav Rebbe, however, Idi v'Idi migba gave. But for Rebbe, he seems to be of the opinion that whether from metaltalin or from karka, okay, one is able to take
For
this
the purpose of it.
for the dowry. Tanya, as we learn in another Braita, echad nechasim sheyesh lehen achrayis, v'echad nechasim she'en lehen achrayis. The same applies whether you have property where there is a guarantee versus whether you have property that does not have a guarantee. Motzein lemazon ha'isha lebanot. Okay, that we can use that, okay, to provide sustenance for the woman and the daughters, divrei Rebbe, and that's the view of Rebbe. Elamai parnasa. What do we mean then when we say the money for the dowry? Eina kitznai ketubah. We're saying that it's not, again, a stipulation for the ketubah. Look at Tanya, as is taught elsewhere in another Braita. Ha'omer, one who says, Al yizonu benotav minechasav. If a person says, do not provide food, sustenance for his daughters from his property, ein shom'in lo. We do not listen to him. Or it could be. Okay, doesn't have to be dafka though. Okay, al yitparnesenu benotav minechasav. If he says, however, do not provide the dowry for my daughters from my property, shom'im lo, we do listen to him in that situation. Why? Shehaparnasa einak t'nai ketubah. Why? Because the dowry.
Declaration, because it's only verbal and it's affecting property.
If you say something,
Okay. I'm going to say you might be right that it could be a deathbed statement. Okay. If you found that in Rashi.
Well, it has. I didn't see it in Rashi, but I mean, it's probably there, but I didn't.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm saying.
There would be a Benson, and they would say.
I don't know. If you would have to say it before a basin. Okay. Right. Okay. We're now on Samech Tet. Right. Talale Rav the Rebbe Beini Chite. Okay. So what happens? Am I at the right place? Yeah. Okay. So now we get an interesting little piece here. Okay. Remember that with certain documents, okay, what would they do? The document, if written on parchment, would have to be sealed in some way. Okay. And they would sew it, okay, to seal the document. Okay. So here, at least the suggestion is that you had another message written between the lines of the threads that sealed the document. Okay?
on the inside or on the outside?
No, within the document. Within the document, between the blank lines.
That's what it suggests.
Because what we learn and what Rashi says is first he wrote a social letter. And then in the spaces between the lines of the social letter, he added the Shiloh.
That's what we're going to get to. That's where we're headed.
That's where we're headed.
Right, but that's where we're headed. Okay, so one explanation is why it says Beinei Chite, between the stitches.
Well,
okay?
Here, Chite means the lines of writing.
Yes. On the other hand, there is another pshat, as Michael just shared with us, that it says that he writes this letter, okay, a formal document, okay? If anybody's ever seen the text of a ketubah or the text of a get, for example, okay, right? And then in between, you see something else written, okay? Right. So here's, right? So this is what happens, okay? Right? So because Rashi
actually suggests what you're saying about between the sewing.
Yeah, I'm sure that's where Corin brought. They Corin often in its explanation often prefers Tosafot to Rashi for some reason. Okay, but that's another issue for another time. Okay, ha'achim sheyabdenu mahu. Okay, what about the situation where the brothers are the ones handling the estate that they inherited from the father? Okay, Havim Yativ Rabbi Chia Kame, and Rabbi Chia was sitting there. Amarle, he said to them, Machru o Mashkano. Okay, was it a situation that it's property that was sold or property that was mortgaged? Okay, Amarle, he said to him, my nafkamina. What's the difference in the situation? Okay, Bain Machru, Bain Mashkanu, whether they sold it or whether they used it as mortgage. In other words, their liens on that property. Right?
No money left.
Okay, Motzi'in leparnasa. We claim that they can take money from that item and use it for the dowry. Ve'ein motzi'in lemazonot. But we are not able to use any of that for the sustenance. V'rav, and as far as Rav goes, imachru. So this is the dilemma. Imachru kemabayele. If it was a situation that they sold the property and that's what's bothering him, nichtov le'machru. Let him simply write, okay, that, in other words, why did he write that the question was,
Shibdu.
okay, so,
Shibdu. He should have written Machru.
okay, in other words, why did it say ha'achin she'abdu mahu? Okay, in other words, and the question being, when you say the word she'abdu, does it imply?
What does it mean?
What does it mean then? So he says, if it was a question, if his intention was to imply actual sale of property, okay, nichtov le'machru, okay, that he should have written ha'achim shemachru mahu, okay, the brothers that sold the property from the estate of the father, could you still take back from that to use for the dowry, as we're saying, right? Mashkanu, if they used it simply as a mortgage, okay, collateral for a loan, let's say, what happens? Kama ba'ile. Okay, that's what he should have said. Nichtov le mashkanu. Then why didn't he write it that way? Okay, so the Gemara continues with that after that question. Rav travahu kama ba'ile. That for Rav, both of these items were problematic for him. Okay? Visavar, and he thought as follows. Ikativna le'machru. If I write for him, that it was sold, ha'necha. Okay, that's fine. Ishalach li demotzein. If he says to me that they take the money from it, kol shekain mashkanu. All the more so can we say that in a situation if they only used it as collateral for a loan. Ishalach li ein motzein. And if he says that you cannot take the money, okay, from that situation, akati mishkanu kamabayile. Then that may only apply to sale, but it may not apply to the situation of the brothers using it as collateral. And that would still be a problem for me. Ikatvele mishkanu. If he had written for him that the brothers had used it as the collateral, they had pledged it, okay, in that case, all right, that happens. Ishalachli de'ein motzein. If he then says that one can't appropriate that money, use it, kol shekain machru. All the more so then, certainly, if you can't use it for a pledge because it's collateral, okay, then certainly if the land was sold, if the property was sold, you can't take it back from the buyer, exactly, right? Ishalach li motzein. And if he says that you can take it in that situation, akati machru kama ba'ile, then still the problem of the sale of that as part of the estate, okay, is still a problem for me. So what happens? So I'll write to him, Shia Abdu, that they sort of want to use the phrase mortgaged it. Okay.
No, Shia Abdu, that there was something encumbered, but it doesn't specify.
It's encumbered property, might be a phrase. Okay. Corin translated it mortgaged. Okay,
But mortgage, we already,
you're saying mortgage is a better translation for the mishkanta.
correct.
Right.
Okay, and I understand that.
Right.
So this is like a
The-
swing word.
The encumbered includes, and that's what he's saying, the
The
Mishnah.
property is already put aside in some manner, in some manner. Okay. Right, no, but it's also a situation of, by saying that the property is encumbered, you're saying is there is something, right, there is, could be a lien on the, but,
Or it's-
but it even doesn't
There's
apply a
no
lien.
really good
It doesn't imply a lien, because a lien again would still be
It's mortgage.
closer to
It's a mortgage.
mishkanta. Okay, so the implication is this property has been set aside in some manner, no longer totally under the control of the brothers
Right.
to be able.
Either was sold
Okay,
or it was.
so we don't know the status of that. So
Right.
therefore, that's what gives us the question of,
Sold
is it sold?
or
Is it
mortgaged.
been mortgaged? Why can't the brothers take money from that property and use it then towards the dowry of their sister?
There's no good English word, so they chose.
Yeah.
They chose encumbrance.
Okay, Ted, I gotta,
Sold.
yeah,
The other is what they call it pledged, encumbered or mortgaged, is the same situation.
okay,
Right.
Well, That's the problem with
That's the-
translating.
that's the
word.
question. Okay, he only phrased it as an either or. But by saying, in this case, we're saying, we're not phrasing it as an either or, either sold or pledged or mortgaged or,
It's
or,
both.
okay?
It could be
Something has
either.
been done with this property that no longer allows the brothers access to it to use for the dowry.
Right.
That's the issue that the Gemara wants to present to us.
Something in addition to sold.
We don't know. No, not in addition.
It's
That's-
one of the items.
We don't know that. Now we're going to get to that. Okay? So what happens? Okay? Because the Gemara says, all right, we're going to pick up now. Ishal,
Mashmahachi or mashmahachi.
okay, the ein motzin kosher kein machru. Ish alach le motzin akati machru kamabayle. Echtov le shiabdu de mashmahachi umashmahachi.
Could be
If we say that it's encumbered, and I think that is actually a better
Yeah, but it's
translation
not
than
really good, because it more implies mortgage.
what, encumbered?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
Okay.
right, article chose that word. There is no good English word.
Okay, the mashmahachi, it could imply, I'm going to say, it could imply this situation, namely that of sale, okay? Umashmahachi, or it could imply the other situation of a mortgaged, okay? The Rabbi Yochanan Amar, he says, echad ze v'echad ze, ein motzi'in. And Rabbi Yochanan is straight out, gives a straight answer. No either or business, regardless, okay? If that property is no longer accessible for the brothers to take money from, okay? That's the case, right? Ibayaleho. So they ask them, the Rabbi Yochanan, lo shamiya le had the Rebbe, has Rabbi Yochanan not learned that statement of Rebbe? Okay. V'i shamiya le, and if he had learned it,
You can.
all right, okay, and if he did learn it, where Rebbe said, yes, you may take money from that for the dowry, okay, all right, Hava mikabele, did he accept it? O Dilma, or perhaps Shamiale velo mikabele, or perhaps he learned it, but he didn't accept Rebbe's view there in that case. He disagreed with him. Tashma.
That's a problem, because Rabbi Yochanan is an Amira. And Rebbe is a Tan.
Well, it's particularly a problem because Rabbi Yochanan was first generation Amora, and he would have studied under Rebbe.
Yeah, well,
Okay, so it's not just a question of an Amora versus a Tana. It's even more than that. It's somebody who's disagreeing with their
Rebbe.
Rebbe. That's even a greater different problem. Okay, Tashma, listen to the following Braita. The Itmar, as it was said, as follows: Mi shamet v'hiniach shtei banot bubein, one who dies and he leaves behind 2 daughters and a son. V'kadma harishona v'natla isur nechasim, and the first daughter we assume married, and she took 1/10 of the property, which we saw was suggested earlier. Okay. Velo hispika shnia legabot ad shemet haben, and the second daughter did not take her section or her amount, okay, until the time that the brother died. Basically, he died, the brother died, okay, and now she's ready to take her share.
But she's the only heir.
Yeah, so the question is, does the daughter number 2 receive more to include in her diary not yet collected, or does she get an equal share of daughter number 1? Okay. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Shnia Vitra. His claim is that the second daughter forgave it. She passed it over. Okay.
Everything or only the difference?
No, she loses the dowry.
Right, she doesn't get
The
it.
2 girls are the only living heirs,
right?
so they get from their brother.
Okay.
But now the question is, all other factors being equal, girl number 1's going to get 55%, and girl number 2's only going to get 45%, because girl number 1 already took 10.
She took, right.
So the
So
question
we'll see.
is, do we adjust
doesn't
or
really
do we
work
leave
out.
it alone?
What? Okay, so let's see what happens. Amar Rabbi Chanina, he said, Gedolami zo amru. Greater than that, they said, Motzein leparnasa ve'ein motzein lemazonot. Our concern here also is that we say one can take money, okay, from the estate for the purpose of the dowry, but one cannot take money from the estate for the purpose of mazonos, of
You can
sustenance.
take money from encumbered properties.
Okay, well, we'll see.
Right.
Ve'at amart, right?
You definitely can take the money from the estate. That's
Right.
what we.
Yeah, the
Here we're
Kiddush is
talking
you can
about
go to a
seeing, you can
buyer
go
and
to the
take
buyer
money.
and take the money from.
That's going to be the implication,
That's right.
right? That's going to be that's really the bottom line
Right.
question. Ve'et, all right, va'at amart shniya vitra, and you're saying that the second daughter forgave, she passed it over, okay?
Loses out.
She loses. Ve'imita, if that's the case, namely, let us say to him, namely back to Rabbi Yochanan, right? Man amra, who says that that's what she said? V'dilma le'olam lo shami'aleh. And perhaps then Rabbi Yochanan did not
Never
learn
heard
the
Rabbi's
lesson
tale.
that
Of Rabbi.
Rabbi's view that you can take money from the dowry from that property. Okay? V'chi shami'aleh, kibel. And if he did learn it, he
would've
accepted it.
It would have been.
Okay. Why? As we've said, okay, primarily because he was his teacher, okay, in that case. Vishani hat, but maybe it's different there. De'ika revach beta, because there is there's a profit, there's a significant, the
Getting a lot
estate,
more money.
the estate is a large estate, and therefore, right, it's a lot of money, okay,
She's
and that's
getting
the case.
45%.
Okay.
If she was not one of the brothers' heirs, she would get 10% and she'd be happy as a clam. She got 10%. Here she's getting 45%.
So your understanding that is the Ika Revach Beta implies
Yes,
for the
yes,
for
and
the
the same
second
book.
woman.
The second woman
She
is getting
takes half of
45.
All right.
She's getting
I'll ac-
4.5 times.
Okay, I
what she
hear,
thought she
I
would
hear.
get.
I
She'd be
accept
happy.
that, but that was not the shot that I found. Okay? All right? Okay. Amar le Rav Yimar le Rav Ashi. So Rav Yimar le Rav Ashi. Ela me'ata. If that's the case, Ashkecha Mitzia Ba'alma. If that's the case, then I would say, what about the situation of finding a lost object in general? The Ika Revach Beta. That there too, there seems to be a significant
She
amount.
found a $10,000
Okay.
diamond ring.
So
Right.
is she going to give up on
Is she
her
gonna give up the
Nadina because
dowry
she got
she's now
she found
rich?
that's what the more saying.
Okay, so here my shot was, okay, so we say then that the daughter, the right of the second daughter to have more than her 1/10 of the dowry. Okay, so hachinami here too, the lo yahavinan la isur nechasim. Do we say here then that in this case she's going to receive more than 1/10 of the property?
Why?
That's
she
the
only didn't get
question.
if she found a mitzia,
Yeah.
she didn't get more than 1/10 of the property. The mitzia is something she found. That's not from.
Separate for the property.
It's separate from the property, but still the question is, that may
If
be
you
the
use
case.
the argument, she's rich, she doesn't need the dowry. She already has 45%.
But that's if you apply it that she gets that money.
No, that's if you apply it, she does not.
If it says
Since
the
this is a
revach,
rare
the
case,
ika revach beit.
this is a rare
Meaning she
case
gets
where
the
she's an
But
Yerusha.
you're
heiress.
explaining it as that she gets the money.
That who else is
Yerusha,
gonna
the
get it?
Yerusha.
She earned.
That's her revach
All right,
basin.
let him just do it.
Okay.
Forget it.
All right, I'm willing to accept that shot, but that's not the
Okay.
shot that
All right.
Corin
But
suggested.
that has, again, contextually, that has to be the shot. Otherwise, how does the Mitzia play in?
We'll
The
see.
thing, if she finds $100,000 diamond ring, if you say she has revach, she's already rich, she already got 45% of the state, let her, she can't complain.
But
about it.
you're applying revach there implies that it's going to
What does the
her.
word revach mean? A lot.
Yeah, I know what it means.
Okay, so if she already has a lot, she has 45%.
But
what does she have
you're
left?
applying it to her.
Well, who else are we talking about?
They're applying it to the estate
Then how can the estate find a $10,000?
because that's
diamond
trying to make the comparison.
ring? We're talking about the girl.
Okay, you have a one shot, and the shot I saw was different. Okay, that's all.
The father was alive in this state, something like that.
Okay, all right, let's go on, please. Okay, Amar Revach Beta Mahani Machsei Kamin. Okay,
Right there.
Amar Amemar Bat Yerushat Yereshet Havya. So now Amemar is saying that this comes as part of her Yerusha. It comes as part of her
So who are we
inheritance.
talking about?
Okay, so now
Girl.
the Gemara is saying that this is part of what she receives. Okay? Amarle Rav Ashi la Amema. And Rav Ashi says to Amema, okay, Ilu bai lisluka bazuze. If he wants to oust her from the estate by paying her, okay, what happens? Okay, Hachanami delo matze lisluka. Okay, here too we're saying that can't push her out. Amarle, he said to him. And yes, ibailis luka bechada ara. Okay, maybe it's possible for him to exclude her by giving her a single piece of property. That's the case. Hachanami delo matzi misalekla. Here too, we're saying that he's not able to push her out. Amarle, and he says to him, yes. Rav Ashi Amar, says Rav Ashi, but Ba'ala Chov Havya. Okay, here he's saying, okay, that the case is that this, okay, daughter is by the giving of her property, okay, she has the right to inherit from all the property. Isn't that the case? Va'af amema hadarbe, and so Amemar changes what he was saying. The Amar Rav Ben Yomei, Berei de Rav Nechume, as Rav Ben Yomei says in the name of Rav Nechume, Hava ka'amina kame de amama. He says, I was standing there before Amemar, va'atai, okay, hai itita, lekame dahavat ka bai isu nechasim. Okay, and what happens is a certain woman came before him, okay, and she had required the 1/10 of the nechasim, right? What happened? V'chazite l'date. Okay, and he saw this according to his view. De'i bai lisluke bezuze, because if he wanted to push her out, to oust her through by money, have misalekla. He would have pushed her out through the money. Deshame me'achai dahavu ka'amrela. Why? Because she heard the brothers saying, and as if they were telling her, Ilu hava lan zuze, were we to have money, salikna bezuze, we would have ousted her through the use of money. Ve'ishtik, velo amar laho velo mide. He was silent, okay, and he did not say to them anything whatsoever. Vahashta, and here, the amad ba'alat chov havya, and here where we're saying that she has the right to inherit, okay?
Balas chov means
Means
she
she-
is a Baal chov against the estate that take the tenth and then the chos. That's what Balas chov.
Okay, I'm just telling you that you may be right, okay, but I've got a different shot, okay? All right, balas chovhu, right? That's by the property she has this right to. In other words, that would be her claim.
She has a right.
She has a claim to the whole property.
For her.
That's the point,
For her.
right? The abba or the achi. Would that claim be vis-a-vis the father, or is it vis-a-vis the brothers? Lamai nafka mina. So what's the difference there? Lamigba lebenonit shelo b'shvua. Why? Because based on who the claim is, she could make the claim to get intermediate level property without having to take a vow. Okay? V'ziburit b'shvua. But if she was going to take inferior property, she would need to take a vow. She would need to make a vow. Mai, what's the situation? Tashma, listen to the following bright. The Ravina Agbe Lebarte the Rav Ashi. A situation occurred where Ravina, okay, want to say granted money to the daughter of Rav Ashi, Mimar Bere de Rav Ashi, from Mar the son of Rav Ashi, Benonit v'shalo b'shvua, and she was granted intermediate quality property without a oath. Okay, may braid the Rav Sama, okay, Bere the Rav Ashi, and from the son of Rav Sama, the son of Rav Ashi, Ziburit b'shvua, and there that was inferior land, okay, with an oath. Shalach le Rav Nehemiah Bere the Rav Yosef, and Rav Nehemiah, the son of Rav Yosef, sent a message, okay, the Rabba bar Rav Huna, the Rabba bar Bahuna, Zuta, the smaller one, Menahardeya in Nahardeya, and sent them the following message: Ki atya ha itata lekamach, when this particular woman comes before you, agba isur nechasim afilu meitz tarubla. Okay, you should grant her 1/10 of the possessions, even including the millstone that's there. Okay,
Because that's also considered.
because that would be considered the karka, right? Okay, Amar Rav Ashi, says Rav Ashi, ki havinen be Rav Kahana. Okay, when Rav Kahana came, hava magbinen afilu ma'amla to bete. And when Rav Kahana came, he would grant her even the rent of the house, of the property. Okay, that happens. Shalach le Rav Anan le Rav Huna, and Rav Anan sent a message to Rav Huna. Huna chavran shalei. Okay, Huna, my friend. Okay, welcome, hello. Okay, ki acha ha itata lekamach agva isunachse. Okay, when a certain woman comes before you, okay, I want you to grant her, let's say,
the 10th.
again, 1/10 of the property. Okay, what happens? Havayati Rav Sheshet Kamei. and Rav Sheshet was sitting before him. Amarle, and he said to him, Zil Emele ubishamta yeheman delo amarle. Go and say to him, basically exactly in my words. And if you don't say it in my words, I will put you in a ban, like almost excommunication. Right? Anan mimekarkae umimataltale. Anan from the land or from the metaltalim. Uman yativ be merzicha beresha. Okay, and who's to say? Okay, here.
Who's to sit?
All right. Okay, who's to sit at the head of the morning table? Okay, Azal Rav Sheshet, the Kame de Rav Nachman. So Rav Sheshet went, okay, to Rav Nachman. Okay, Rav Anan have said, Amarle, and he said to him, Mar Rabba, the master is a teacher. For Rav Huna, Rabbe de Rav, and Rav Huna is the teacher of the teacher. In other words, what happened? He's a greater authority in this case, right? Vishamote shamit man delo amarle, and he will put one in a band who doesn't say exactly what he said. Okay, defining it. Ve'ilav de shamit lo hava kamina. And were it not that he, I'm going to say, threatened me with the ban, I would not say as follows. Anan mimekarkae umimataltale. Anan from property, from utensils, or from property. Okay. Uman yativ be marzicha beresha. And who is it that's sitting at the head of the mourner's table? Azal Rav Anan lekame de Mar Ukva. Okay, so Rav Anan was so I'm going to use the word upset, right? Right,
because he was called Anan, not Rav Anan. That's
right. He was so upset with how he was addressed. Okay, and the challenge that was presented by that question, or those questions, okay, he went to see Mar Ukva, okay, and he says to Mar Ukva, Amarle, Chaze Mar, Hechi Shalashli Rav Huna, okay, does the master see what kind of a message was sent to me by Rav Huna? Okay, Anan. He just called me Anan. Okay. All right. Va'od marzicha de shalachle. And furthermore, he made a comment about a funeral. That's also, he said to me, Lo yadana. Okay, and I don't know what he's referring to, and I don't even know what the reference to the funeral is business is all about here. Okay. Amarle. He said to him, Aimali easy. He said to him, I'll tell you, my friend. Okay, let's go over. Okay, what happens? Okay, Gufa de uvda hechi hab. Okay, so the Gemara continues. The essence of the incident of the Maaseh, what happened?
So you don't ask him what happened. Right?
What was the situation? Amarle, he said to him, Hachi v'hachi hava ma'aseh. Such and such was the incident, right? Amarle, he said to them, Gavra delo yada mai mihu marzecha. Okay, a person that does not know what the reference is in regards to a funeral. Shalach le Rav Huna chavran. He had the audacity, I'm going to put it that way, to send a letter to Rav Huna, calling him Huna, my buddy, my friend. Okay, in other words, he did not address Rav Huna with appropriate amount of respect. Okay, all right, and we should remember that in this case here, okay, they were very makpid on showing respect, very stringent in terms of showing appropriate respect, particularly Bavel. Okay, right? My marzicha, what do we mean here by the funeral? Avel, we're talking about mourning. Dichtiv, as is written, Ko Amar Hashem, Al Tavo Beit Mirzach V'Gomer. Okay, citing the pasuk from Yirmiyahu that makes reference to the house of mourning. Okay. Amar Rabbi Abahu, says Rabbi Abahu, Minayin la'avel shemesei barosh. Okay, so we're getting a slight transition, moving away from the main topic for a moment. Okay, how do we know that the mourner sits at the head of the table? Okay, Shne'amar, Evchar darkam ve'eshev rosh ve'eshkon kamelech begadod ka'asher avelim yinachim. Okay, citing the pasuk there. Okay, yinachem. Okay, what does it mean? He will be comforted. Acherim mashma. In other words, implying that others come to comfort him. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. Says Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, Yinachem Kativ. It means he will be comforted, is what's written. Mar Zutra Amar. Okay, and Mar Zutra suggests as follows: Mehacha, from here, from this case, Vesar Mirzach Sruchim. Mar V'zach, in other words, he divides up the two words Mar V'zach. Okay, Ne'asa Sar L'Sruchim. Okay, that one becomes the, so to speak, the master of those that are okay, that need the comfort. Okay, Amar Rabba says Rabba Hilchata Mikarka'e V'lo Mimataltale. And Rabba now is telling us that the law is that it has to come, that it can come from utensils and not simply from, it's got to come from ground, from solid property, and not from the utensils. Bein lemizone, bein lekatuba, bein leparnasa. Whether we're talking about sustenance, whether we're talking about for the ketubah, okay, or whether we're talking about the dowry. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. New Mishnah. Okay.
So what's the bottom line there?
Okay. So the bottom line is that you must take it from property, landed property, as a basis to have the money to be able to give the dowry.
And the zone
and other things too.
Right.
Because the Gemara had argued that it's one thing for the dowry, but you don't have to take it there for the mizonos, for the sustenance. Okay, right? Anyway, we could go into a separate discussion there, but we'll continue now with the new Mishnah. Okay, we're now going to get to a situation where we're dealing with a third party, a trustee, okay, that is the one that's providing for the wife, okay, or the arusa, or for the betrothed woman. Hamashlish ma'ot labito, one who has a trustee or a third person, okay, that's providing money for his daughter in this case. Vehi omeret ne'eman ba'ali Allah. And she says in this case that my husband is trustworthy by me to accept that money. Okay. Ya'aseh hashalish ma shehushlish biyado. That the trustee must do what he has been, so to speak, guaranteed, directed to do. Okay. In Divrei Rabbi Meir, according to Rabbi Meir, then he cannot give the money to the husband. He must give it to the woman, to the young woman herself. So the trustee could be either in charge of the estate, which would be one option if the father died, or if the father is away, okay, and she's simply an arusa, okay, again, that could be to the fiance. Okay, that's the view of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yossi Omer, says Rabbi Yossi, v'chi eina ela, okay, sadeh, v'hi rotza lemochra. It could be nothing more than land, and she wants to sell it. Okay, harehi mechora ma'achshav, and that she wants to sell it immediately. In other words, and then she would have the money, okay, for her sustenance, for her dowry, whatever. Okay, b'med dvarim amurim. What are we talking about in terms of this bas? Bigdola. We're talking about a young woman who has already reached maturity. Okay, aval b'ktana. But if she's a minor, ein ma'aseh ktana klum, then we can't use the rationale of wanting it as land to be able to sell it, because any act on the part of a minor is not a valid judicial legal act. Okay?
The footnote on 14 in the article, we used to use the Kadola, meaning a girl with 12.5.
Right. She's reached maturity. She's a bogeret.
Yes, but here it means 20. By halacha, if someone under the age of 20 cannot sell in. You see, both on the basket.
Okay. Right. Okay. Gemara, Tanu Rabbanan, says the Braita. Hamashli shme'ot lechatno. So now we get into a more specific situation. A trustee has given money to the, let's say, future son-in-law. Okay, lekach mehen sadeh lebito. Okay, so what happens? He purchased with that money land for the daughter, for his fiance, right? Vehi omeret yinat nu lebali, and she says, okay, give the money directly to my, right, intended. Min hanisuin, in regards to a marriage.
If she's already married,
if that's the case, harishut biyada, then she has permission to say that to the trustee,
give it
to my husband directly. Min ha'erusin, but if it's a situation of only erusin, betrothal, yaseh hashalish mashahu shlash biyado, then the trustee has to do what is directed officially to be done. Divrei Rabbi Meir. Again, that's the view of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yossi Omer, says Rabbi Yossi, Hagedola, if she's mature enough, okay, you want to say age 20, okay, or more, right? Bein min hanisuin, ubein min ha'erusin, harishut biyada. According to Rabbi Yossi, whether she's married or betrothed, she has the permission.
Because she's a Gedola.
Right? Katana, if she's a minor, okay, and that's why I have a problem with that age 20 there, personally. Okay, Bein min hanisuin, Bein min ha'erusin, and if she's a minor, but regardless if she's already married or simply in betrothed, ye'aseh hashalish ma shehu shlash biyado. Okay, that the trustee should do what he has been directed to do. My benayu, what's the difference between them? Ilema katana min hanisuin. If you're going to say that she's a minor, okay, but already married, ika benayu, then there's a difference between them. The Rabbi Meir savar harishut biyada, that Rabbi Meir holds that the permission is hers to tell the trustee to give the money directly to her husband.
Because she's married already.
Va'ata Rabbi Yossi, the Meimar, afilu inami. And along comes Rabbi Yossi to tell us, okay, that even in a situation of marriage also, Gedola, regarding a more mature young woman, yes, Katana lo. but a minor, no. Ema Sefer. But I would say, look at the end of our Mishnah. Okay? Aval b'ktana, but it says with regards to a minor, ein maasa ktana klum, that any legal act on the part of a minor is worthless, is nothing. Ha man katanila, but then who was it that taught this? Ilema Rabbi Yossi. If we're saying that it was Rabbi Yossi who taught this, ha miresha shamat mine. Here already from the earlier part of the Mishnah, we've learned this. Da'amar Rabbi Yossi, as Rabbi Yossi says, v'chi eina ela sadeh v'hirot salamochra, because it's nothing more than land and she wants to sell it. Harei hi mechura me'achshav, and she wants to sell it immediately, as of now. Gedola, the bas zavini. We say if she's mature, if she's an adult, okay, she's the bat zavini, she's an adult.
She can sell it.
She can, right? Ein ktana de lav bat zavini. Okay, but a minor is not considered legally an adult. Okay, and and she cannot.
We're saying now the minor is under 12.
Okay, we're saying she's certainly under 12.
Wow.
Okay, all right, so what happens? Ella Rabbi Meir, so it must be that our text is by Rabbi Meir, right? V'chasuri mixra v'hachi katani, and something is missing, and this is how we have to teach it. Ya'aseh hashalish ma shehu shlash biyado, that the trustee must do as he's been directed to do. Okay, by whomever, the father. Okay, b'ma dvarim amurim. What are we talking about? Min ha'erusim, when we're dealing with a situation of betrothal. Okay, aval min ha'nisuim hareshut biyada. But in a situation of marriage, the permission is granted her to tell him, to the shlish, the trustee, to give it directly to the husband.
Right.
Okay. B'med varim amorim, and what are we talking about? B'gedola, when she's mature, an adult. Aval b'ktana, but regards to a minor, ein ma'aseh ktana klum, that any legal act on the part of a minor is nothing. Ele gedola min ha'erusim ika banayhu, but an adult or an older, mature, okay, who is only, I'm going to say only in quotes, betrothed, that's the difference between them. Okay, itma. And about this, the following was said. Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Rav Yehuda said in the name of Shmuel, Halacha ka Rabbi Yossi. The law is like Rabbi Yossi. Rabba Amar Rav Nachman. Rava says in the name of Rav Nachman, Halacha ka Rabbi Meir. The law is like Rabbi Meir. Okay, and we'll just finish up. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to start this story. Basically, the story needs a little bit of a word or two of quick background. Okay, and that is that there was a vacancy in terms of the head of the yeshiva. And there were two possible candidates. Ilfa was one candidate, okay, and Rabbi Yochanan was another candidate, right? Rabbi Yochanan? Right. Okay, and what happened? Both of them were hard pressed financially. Ilfa went ahead and went into business and for an extended period of time. Rabbi Yochanan went into business only for a short period of time and then went back to full-time learning. That's what it seems to be. So what happens? Ilfa was upset that he was not chosen to fill the vacancy as the head of the yeshiva. And so what happens is what we see now. Ilfa tala nafshe beiskare de mechuta. Ilfa was hanging or standing on the mast of a ship. Okay? Amar, and he said, because he thought perhaps that the reason he was not chosen was that he did not have adequate amount of learning. And he wanted to show, give proof that he did have adequate learning in order to occupy the chair, so to speak, of the head of the yeshiva. Okay, Amar, he says, Ika da'ate da'amar li milta, the Bey Rebbe Chia v'Rebbe Yoshia. If there is somebody that can come and say something to me from the academies of Rebbe Chia and Rebbe Yoshia, v'lo pashitna le mimatnitin, and I can't answer him from our Mishnah, nafila me'iskara v'tavana, then I will fall from the mast of the ship and I will drown. Okay? Ata hahu saba, along came an older gentleman, Tana le, and he taught as follows. Ha'omer, one who says, Tanu shekel lebni b'Shabbat, give a shekel a week to my V'ru'uyin litain lahem sela, but the needs of the young man are such that he should actually be receiving a larger amount, a sela, okay? Notnin lahen sela, we give him the sela. V'im amar al titnu lahem ela shekel, okay? And if they say don't give him except for the shekel, ein notnin lahem ela shekel, then we don't give him anything more. To say that upon death, okay, give it the money to others. Bein she'amar tnu, regardless of whether he said give it to them. Bein she'amar al titnu, or if he says don't give it to them, ein notnim lahem ela shekel. We don't give him anything more than a shekel. Okay, and the Gemara finishes up on today's daf. Amar lehai mani, according to whom? Okay, and I do want to apologize for the machloket in the learning that occurred today. Okay, just one of us learns using one shita of pshat, and one learns with a different shita of pshat.
That's learning. You don't have to apologize for that. That's what's going on. We're going through a big message.